Back here on the Army Sports Network pregame show presented by Bud Light. Justin Rocke joined by the legendary head coach of Army West Point. That is Dave Magarity. Coach, obviously some major news coming out yesterday. After such a long career in college basketball, you will be announcing your retirement at the end of this upcoming season. Obviously, it's been a long career, and a lot of thought and a lot of input has come into making this decision over the last few weeks and months. What's that decision process been like, and why is now the right decision to leave?
Well, honestly, Justin, I discussed this with my staff, back in the summer. But my wife Rita and we've been talking about it. She retired from teaching, back in 2015, and we have a lot going on with our family, 7 grandkids, but a lot of those things factored into it. But I just, when the time, we joked about it when, you were with us back in the 2016 season, that special year, we 29 wins, and, that probably would have been a good time to walk away, but I wasn't ready then. But this summer, I looked at everything and spoke with Mike Buddy and his executive staff. My family, was a big part of talking about it. I mean, my kids are always telling me, hey, coach, dad, keep coaching, keep coming. And my wife's ready to kill them. But it's time. You sort of know. And I didn't want to be in a situation where I stayed too long, because I've seen that. I've seen some of my friends do that. I've seen other coaches do that. Maybe I did stay too long at the end of the day. But when I reflect back, my 16 years here have been absolutely wonderful. And I've had great relationships. I don't want to get into mentioning names, because I've had so many people that have had an impact on on my life, on my career, on my family's life. But it's been a great run. I mean, it really has. I mean, 40, I think it's my 47th year. I keep trying to do the math, but my first year as a coach was 73, 74 season at St. Francis. And I was actually more of a volunteer coach, because I was still finishing up my degree after I came back from the service. I was in the Navy, by the way. A lot of people don't know that. So I didn't publicize that here at West Point, but and that was, and then my, one guy that I should mention is Pete Lonergan, was the guy I gave my first job. Pete's a dear friend of mine. He's retired now, but was a great coach and went on to coach at Niagara after St. Francis. But he gave me my start, and between him and my wife, putting up with me for all these years, it's amazing. When I reflect back on everything.
You talk about people giving you a chance and an opportunity to grow your coaching career. That's something that you have done in spades in your 16 years here at West Point. Just in the short time I've been here, 3 of your assistants have gone on to become head coaches. And one of the big things in college basketball, particularly on the women's side lately, has been the discussion of trying to find ways to get more female head coaches and leading programs. Considering what's happened just a short time I've been here and all the other assistants that have gone on to great success that were there before I was at West Point, how proud are you of all the success, the people that you've brought in to teach and learn, to go on and have the success that they have had after being under your tutelage?
Well, yeah, I am. I'm very proud of that. I mean, I'm obviously, most proud of all the, young men and women that have gone on to have successful lives and careers, respectively, going back to my days at St. Francis and Iona as an assistant. Some tremendous experiences there. I went to 2 NCAA tournaments under Pat Kennedy, one of my good friends, and then to get in the Marist gig for close to 20 years, and just some great memories there. And but yeah, I mean, that when you think about coaches and going back to my my career as a men's coach, I probably is proud of one of my good friends, Jeff Bauer, who went on to be the general manager of the New Orleans Hornets, the Detroit Pistons, and he's an executive vice president with the Phoenix Suns now. But and then on and on. There's a lot of guys that have gone on to have great success. And then on the women's side, probably more, in my short tenure of, I think probably 7 or more, have gone on to Division 1, 2, or 3 head coaching careers.
It's truly a phenomenal number. And trying to pivot back to obviously the task at hand this weekend might be a little tough with obviously all the emotions. Taking on a Colgate team that didn't play last weekend because of COVID protocols against Bucknell. What's going to be the biggest focal point for you guys this weekend, taking on this Raider team that you split the home series against them back in January?
Yeah, I think Bill Cleary does a terrific job, and he's really, I complain a lot about some of our adversity with injuries, with all the players that have been out for us. I mean, as well as anybody. I mean, 3 of our top players from last year are not playing this year, and then tack on the problems we had, with starting league play without Kate Murray. Sarah Bond missed a few games, and then getting them back into the flow after we were playing probably our best basketball, coming out of that Quinnipiac win back in mid-December. So there are just a lot, but you know what, you're preaching to the choir. Every other coach has got a million other issues. And certainly Bill Cleary does, with all the injuries he sustained, and then losing 2 really good players to be grad transfers. One's playing at BYU and the other one's at South Dakota State, I believe, having terrific years. So I'm concerned. I mean, Dixon and Brody both were absolutely terrific in the first game when they beat us. And then, Dixon, I think, had some issues, in terms of her legs. It's tough playing back to back. We've seen it. Our problem's always been the first game, not the second game.
Yeah, one final question for you, Coach. You talk about those issues on Saturdays. Haven't won on a Saturday yet, but have done a real good job bouncing back on Sunday. What's been the talking point this week in practice to make sure you guys get off to a better start on Saturday?
Well, it's really been the primary, conversation, is especially more so the last week or two. And when I announced to the team on Monday about my decision to step down at the end of the season, that was part of what I said. I said, you need to figure this out, because especially for that junior class where, night in, night out, we're starting at least 2, 3 or more 4 juniors. They are sort of the nucleus of this team, and their time's running out. I mean, pretty soon in a blink of an eye, they'll all be firsties, seniors, and they're not going to be able to get to accomplish the goals that they've set for themselves. We need to figure this out quickly. They have to show up on Saturday ready, to play, with the idea of sweeping these next couple weekends. I mean, that may be a big task, but I don't think it's insurmountable. I mean, it doesn't make any sense to me. I can't explain, the Saturdays, especially the Colgate Saturday, Holy Cross Saturday, and the Navy Saturday. I thought we played well against BU on that Saturday. But I think my theory is, I think some of these kids, were really up for that game because BU was supposed to be one of the best teams in the league. Whereas the other teams, in the preseason were rated lower, some lower than us, in particular Navy and Holy Cross.
Head coach of the Black Knights, Dave Magarity, congratulations on making your decision on your retirement. We look forward to talking to you throughout the rest of the season, and best of luck this weekend.
Thanks a lot, Justin.
Coming next in the pregame show, starting lineups and tip-off. You're listening on the Army Sports Network pregame show presented by Bud Light.